Yeah. There we go. Hello, folks, and welcome to the Historical Fencing Guild's weekly live stream going on as long as this coronavirus thing is keeping me from putting on live fighting. So, this week, all right, we've got one viewer already. Thank you for showing up. Remember, smash that like button. And we are brought to you by, wow, the simple sword has been borrowed again. Oh yeah, I had to send that out for the library friends. Anyhow, By the Simple Sword by Nicholas Tucker. That's available on Amazon, and that would be my fencing manual. This week we've got a couple things I want to hit on. I don't know how long this video can go. We'll see by content. But Cindy Koepp, who is a patron, and yes, I have a Patreon, and if you want to support what I'm doing in bringing sword fighting and basic fencing style education and practical knife defense things to the public for low cost. Thank you for that like, folks. For free. If you want to support that, please consider becoming a patron. You will also see that this week I did finally manage to get up my initial unboxing and review video of this beauty, the CRKT 2387. That actually glows in the dark. This has become my day-to-day use knife. I quite like it. It's slightly different than my old minimalist spear point, but it fits more with my attitude of late, where I don't want to look too intimidating, tactical, and since I can't be cool, I might as well bathe in the glory of my geekiness. 1 second. So, I'm expecting Cindy to hop on. She's probably watching through her tablet, as she usually is at this time in the broadcast. So I'm not going to get into her request, other than she wanted. Well, I won't answer it, but I will tell you the question. Cindy posed a neat question to me. What kind of weapons should someone on Gryphon back use in a story? And as I love helping authors write better, more logical, and simply cooler fight scenes and stories, it's a real pleasure. We got a message from our good friend John Miner saying good evening. Good evening, John. I hope the rubber is staying, your bike's staying rubber side down, and everything is pretty groovy in your universe amid the many greyhounds and humor. But I do, like I said, I want to announce that I got that. I got the unboxing and preview up. I will be working shortly on that, the unboxing and preview of this neck knife, which is the Sheffield, because that was asked for. There's a lot of interest in comparing the two, and I find it neat. I'm really kind of getting a feel for the neck knives. There's one more on order. Hello, Cindy. How y'all are? It's been an interesting week. 2020 is very 2020, and sometimes it hits a bit, sometimes it doesn't. I'm also approaching my birthday, which, not through any morbidity. Oh, John's still in Pennsylvania. Cool. Pennsylvania's beautiful. Next week, actually, next Friday happens to be my birthday. So, oh, okay, sorry. So I'm not really sure if I'll actually be on. I may just pre-record something for you guys so that there's something, or I may hop on. I honestly haven't decided. I am really, really bad at birthdays, which is why I usually have a Halloween party, so I don't have to think about the fact it's my birthday. It comes from not being good at being the center of attention for things that just focus on me for being me. Steve Clausen, no, actually, sir, the knife you sent has not shown up, so I haven't been able to review it. I'm planning to, because it actually fits not only my own personal tweaks, since I've just become a guy who loves neck knives. If I ever found my missing one, I'm up to like 5. And one I don't wear because I don't want to lose it. One I don't wear because I don't terribly like it, in that it's a little too specialized. And then I'm missing the one. I have this, which has become my baby, and I'm trying to decide what to do with this. Which, when I get into, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I want to see what that does. Your knife, given its special traits, however, intrigues me for when I eventually get back in the water, even if it's not till next year, because of again, the virus, the situation, and some health issues. I don't know how I'll stay sane-ish till then, but I'll just have to rely on my good friends to keep me buoyed along. But since Cindy's here, I want to knock out the question she was posed, because she posed a neat question, and I'm sorry, my desk chair broke, so I keep looking to move the back, which isn't there anymore. So bear with me. The question was, what if someone's kiddie pool? I need a bit more immersion, and I'm too chunky for a kiddie pool. But it's a good idea. And you know what? I've considered burying one, putting some gravel, and having that just be my fat guy wading beach in the front yard. We may see strange things are always afoot. But I want to get to this Gryphon thing. So, for people who don't know, on the off chance you don't know what a Gryphon is a magical, fantastic, so we are definitely in the realm of fantasy, creature that is basically a hybrid of a lion and an eagle. Head of an eagle, usually front talons of an eagle. Rest of the body's a lion with big old wings out the back, unless she's using some other definition. Not to be confused with Gryffindors, who are a bunch of stuck-up, self-absorbed people who are all about themselves and annoy the living heck out of me. And that's my first hot take of the evening. There will be more. But if you're on back one of these, how are you to defend yourself? And my first thought, and I've discussed this with my wife, and I've considered some... Hey, they're just Marines. Apparently Steve Claus, in case your strange hobbits are afoot. Oh, that too. But this is going to be one of those nights. The first thing to talk about what weapons are, should one use riding upon a Gryphon, I'm going to say the Gryphon is a weapon. Now, there's some debate on how aggressive you want to be, and we'll talk about that, but basically, if you're going to use a Gryphon as a vehicle, you need light armor of some sort to protect its belly, underside flanks, and basically anywhere that ground fire could take. I'm assuming the Gryphons are opposing ground forces and other Gryphons. So I'm not real 1,000% sure. And you know what? I don't want to be corrected until I get through, just to see how things go. A lot of people are going to go melee weapons. They're going to be like, I want my sword. First off, remember, a sword, as much as I love them, are essentially sidearms, especially in warfare. This, there is a talk of a spear. Now, this is depicted a lot in fantasy, the Gryphon back with the spear. If you're going to use a spear, first off, understand you're probably losing it on the first hit. So it's going to be very lance-like. If you, sorry, I have to have something in my hand to think. So if you're engaging people on the back of a Gryphon, and for those who don't know, I've been a DM for like 30 years. I've written fantasy stuff. I am comfortable speaking on this sort of topics. That is not where you want to go. You want to make sure that the Gryphon is armored especially from the bottom. You want to make sure their claws are reinforced, so nail gloves, essentially, sheaths, essentially, that go over the Gryphon's natural nails to give metal ones. That just seems practical, and it protects the material, protects the delicateness. If you have a griffin, remember the talons of a griffin are not made for flat walking, even though they're in a quadruped. And that's it. Yeah, John's getting close. Just getting close and jumping ahead, which is awesome because John always jumps ahead. You want to make sure you have essentially a pillow, a small leather ball of sand, or tightly pressed fur, hair, or stuffing of some sort, so that when the griffin is forced to walk, it can do so comfortably without injuring its talons. Talons aren't made for walking. Now, John jumped ahead a bit to short composite bow, and I will definitely get into that because he's right. If you are on griffin back, think in terms first of let's go down the line. A spear is the melee weapon you kind of can get away with. I don't like them. I don't think, and even though armoring your griffin so that it can have attacks is a neat idea, the wings are always going to be vulnerable. Getting low to the ground is a bad idea. Think of a griffin like a World War I fighter plane. Okay, you're not getting very high off the ground. You're not going relatively fast versus the projectiles, let alone magic, that may be going. So it's more important that's protected. So a type of helmet for your griffin, possibly even a muzzle, which sounds sounds cruel, but they don't need to be biting, but enough to keep foreign objects from getting in their mouth. Possibly something with filtration for gases, depending, and smoke and whatever else is coming up on the battlefield. As John said, you're going to want a ranged weapon because the griffin is essentially a moving aerial platform. So short bow, and yeah, my first thought is actually, it's not my first thought. We're jumping to the bow. It's something like a Mongolian war bow, a straight short tang, because you don't want to be tangled on mount back. That's whatever your horse, dragon, griffin, the undead griffiny horse things from Harry Potter, the kestrels, whatever. You don't want a long tank, but you want power. So that leads to either a composite. Now, see, I thought about a repeating crossbow, and I was going to actually mention that, Cindy, look up a guy named Jorg, spelled pretty much like George, Sprague. He runs the Slingshot channel, one second, on YouTube. And he has some designs for repeating crossbows that allow for rapid reloads that you'd really want to do. But I'm not sure about the tech level of the setting, so trying to go as low tech as possible. This is where you're going to want to think in terms like the World War I bomber, fighter bomber, the aircraft, of some explosive incendiaries that you can throw from the side of your aerial mount to rain hell upon the evil, I assume, foes that are rising up to challenge you. You also want a lot of shock and awe with your impact. So if you have alchemical things, oil blasting, Mongolian composite bow, that's going to give you lots of range. Believe it or not, if you have the means to make a slingshot would be very effective because you have limited movement, lightweight, and you can go. Another version, if bows aren't your thing, consider short spears and an addle. So basically a spear chucker, because if you want to do something, again, you have to know the fantasy setting, because, like, what do you want? I'm thinking some kind of very reliable, high capacity machine gun or two would be very nice if I'm flying around on a Griffin. Just saying. I would say flamethrower, but then you might as well ride on a dragon, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to keep it very medieval, era, you want it or earlier, and you want it simple. An atlatl is a spear chucker. It's basically a stick with a little prong, and what it does is it looks like my arm. It hooks. You do this, and it pulls, and it launches, and extends. I was thinking javelins, bag of dust, and ash cloud to deflect grit. Bow sounds cool. Tech is Renaissance, no magic. Oh, great fun! See, now I know what we're looking at. Absolutely. Any number of smoke bombs and simply powders that can be dispersed could be done to great effect. Because it's Renaissance, you do stumble into interesting uses of gunpowder, and a black powder flash cloud is very, very obscuring, and it goes well to the idea of a griffin with goggles and the full face mask and some filtration going on. Intrigues me a bit. Absolutely, the bows sound cool. If you're going crossbow, it needs to be either really light poundage and or something auto reloading. Please, please, please look up York Sprague's channel, because his homemade and modified crossbows will be, Greek fire. Well, but you got to be careful again. Any kind of flaming oil you can deposit. You might as well. You got to keep in mind pitch. The problem with Greek fire is Greek fire, to the best of my knowledge, is self-igniting. At least according to some stories, which means it hits air and it burns. Interesting stuff. So you gotta realize the threat of what you're carrying if it goes wrong aboard the Gryphon. And while you're talking that, you have to really, really heavily get into the supports. Like your saddling needs to be very advanced with a quick release. Okay, they need to be locked in at the legs, the thighs, and with the stirrups. The size of your Gryphon, which actually varies dramatically between different worlds, in my research, can affect things like that. It affects cargo capacity. That's why the short composite bow, and it's funny because I'm talking to Amanda. The first thing that came out was a Mongolian war bow. And John knows exactly the one I'm talking about because it was my buddy our buddy Jesse's. But Greek fire could be devastating, especially as it floats. So dispersing it in the center of a naval flotilla, oh, beautiful. I would say keep to whenever possible one-armed applications, because depending on how it is, you may need to grip, you may need to reload. So an auto or hand pistol crossbow, possibly even a gauntlet mount, because dropping is a major threat. You have to think in terms of lanyards, potassium and phosphorus infused oil. Yeah. There's some talk of some sodium in there as an igniter to pop it up when it hit the water. But, yeah. Sorry, that's fun. Just Gryphon's raining fire is one of those really intelligent things. I will say this. If your hero or heroine is riding a Gryphon, the only reason they would have a short to medium weapon is I didn't realize they found the recipe for Greek fire has been, to the best of my knowledge, greatly debated and is overall considered a lost secret. So if they found a new archaeological recipe, or you've picked something up through some of your more colorful ties, which it honestly wouldn't surprise me given some of the circles you travel in, John, let me know. I mean, obviously not here, because if it's something like that, no, it doesn't need to be public. But I am intrigued. Um, I like the idea. One idea that was bandied was something akin to a one-handed lacrosse pole. Okay, so a net to chuck essentially like cannonballs, and it works like an atlatl, extends your reach to throw things. It could be very interesting on the anti-ground, your air to ground attacks. Okay. Gall, I need to get my buddy Glenn in here. Because he's amongst other things, a rather accomplished alchemist. And of course, I know somebody who's a rather accomplished alchemist. He's a Arthurian scholar working on a masterpiece that, if it's ever done, is going to be one of the most expansive projects for cataloging and overlapping the sources and tropes of our Arthurian lore with their presumed origins. It's a fascinating prospect. And a lot of his work is in alchemy. So I will just let that, because I will admit that's beyond me in my current situation. I'd like to see what Jim had to say, too. My buddy Jim Robertson, you guys have seen him on many videos, is a professional chemist. I mean, like chemistry. Making jokes. He does science, but it would be interesting to see what all piles up. But that's interesting. Okay, sorry. Now, there are some people who are dead set that there has to be a lance or spear. Like, if you're going to do that, please either make it a lance where there's a stop toward the end, or make it a boar spear where at least it will prevent something from slowing down. And understand that's a one and done. Okay, if you use that in battle, that's great, but you are going to probably lose it. The thing is, you said Renaissance, and by saying Renaissance, I'm going to go all over my boy Da Vinci and think the mentality of like the Assassin's Creed games, where Da Vinci was designing more weapons than they talk about. Gauntlet-based affixed weapons that don't get lost. Think the crossbow from Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust might be really actually quite effective. A lot of it also has to do with who and what you're fighting. And understand that you can combine concepts. So if they're carrying a crossbow and they're firing a crossbow, nothing says that has to be a plain crossbow. Poison, incendiary, explosives, any number of other things can be wove into that. You said there's no magic, which is interesting because it has griffins. So there's going to be some overlay. So it's no castable. There can be layers. I'm trying to think. Yeah, because depending on a lot of it's what you're going to tailor your loadout of your Gryphon Rider to match the target. Okay, if they're fighting other griffins, that's going to be the heavy compound bow. Again, a compound bow set. Da Vinci could have figured out a compound bow. That wouldn't surprise me. auto crossbow again. Da Vinci, yeah. Now you're getting small, heavy darts that again could have containers, so you could easily have designed weighted nets. Yes, weighted nets again. If it's depending on how gruesome you want it to be, weighted or hooked nets. Okay. Aerial combat, defending against a siege, attacking fortified position. Okay, cool. See, now I know. And by aerial combat, do you mean only other griffins or other species running amok? And are there... See, the problem with the saddle-mounted ballista is the weight. Because a lot of this, we have to work around the weight restrictions of a griffin, which are, while, can take riders, they're not really considered beasts of burden in most of my research. So yeah, saddle-mounted ballista is a beautiful thing, but I think it would be too heavy for a flying griffin to do well. But it's only griffins. Falconry is a thing, but not in combat. But could be absolutely. This is where I'd step in. I would say intermingling falconry with griffins makes perfect sense. 1 second. A bit of good research idea harvesting is look up Mercedes Lackey. It's in the Heralds of Valdemar universe. You're going to want to look up, I think it's the Silver Griffin, the Black Griffin. I can't remember if there's another. They're talked about in the Hawk Brothers, which gets into really advanced, really advanced levels of falconry where you have sentient hawks, owls, crows, etc. But the idea of raptors that have been, hawk, whatever, falcons, trained to attack expressly the eyes or weak points on a griffin as a counter, that could be fascinating. Trained attack condors. Now, there was some discussion of, well, find the commander, swoop down, pick him up, and drop him. This is going to be wonderful for shock and awe. And some, if you can cloud possibly the area, disguise the approach, and have the griffin hit and go, because anytime you bring your aircraft low and slow, anytime it's close to the ground and not moving really, really fast, it's really, really vulnerable to the ground forces. Likewise, fighting that, expect net launchers, a lot of net launchers. Expect hooked net launchers. So the nets have essentially fishing hooks through them to tangle and hook in as a combo. This is very grisly, but looking at how I would deal with Renaissance style technology and a threat of griffins, Bolo style rounds out of rudimentary guns, out of cannons, grape shot out of cannons, something like a scorpion with more range of travel. So, a light ballista, like John said, as a means of attack. You got to realize it depends. A lot of it depends on how common they are. Are they something that people have had time to, because in the initial blast battles, whatever, if they don't expect the griffin, that's going to be really demoralizing. It's going to be really effective. The mind game's almost going to be more powerful than the tactical advantage. But every time you're up there, you're a big, shiny target with no cover other than speed and agility. Okay, griffins are the horses of the universe. Well, then you have to figure every horse-based society has had pikemen. So expect the equivalent of aerial pikemen, being pikemen and archers, intermingled. The pikemen are there to protect the archers from incoming griffins while they're firing volleys into the sky. Again, expect weighted nets. Expect in battlements, even deployable nets to keep them from getting close and landing. Again, that weights on the end, fish hooks throughout would make a very entangling, nasty, brutal weapon against griffins. Bolo, again, the bolos, piano wire bolos. Okay, I'm good at thinking about really dastardly weapons. And any of these could be modified easily into, a lighter aerial mount. But you'll always have to keep how much ammunition can they carry, how much range does it get them, how much, what precautions are to keep. Because you got to think about, okay, you have a quiver of arrows. Cool. The griffin takes a hard bank, they all fall out of the quiver unless it's prepared. Everything has to be jostleable, okay? And yeah, you got to realize people get real creative and real ugly real fast. A world that has griffins flying over may find itself bumping into not only more cannons than usual, but even something like a billows-driven fire hose that's putting, boiling hot water, especially boiling hot salt water, up into the air as a deterrent. A rope is going to be something. Yeah, grape shot from the catapults with a short stop. So the catapults, the trebuchets, again, short stops where they're hitting and arcing their attack more, so it's an aerial clouded thing. It's going to be, it will be like, I keep likening it to World War I because it's going to make trenches more likely for the defenders. Because air angle of approach from the air becomes as much a thing as ground. So it wouldn't take long for any tactically minded person to want to fortify. And again, glass powder. Glass powder, females carry much more, but the males are speed demons. Well, you need to figure out the weight, the actual weight limits, and you need to make yourself a sort of game by book Bible. Well, there you go. Mangonels are wonderful as we don't have cannons, and that tells me a little bit about where you are, because you're at the kind of transition period of the Renaissance where you're going to find some really interesting weapons. Because I assume there's other things going on in this universe, and person-to-person combat's going to be a thing. So you're going to be, at that point, seeing, again, cannons, handguns of varying bits of effectiveness. I don't know how advanced those are, but that's really going to be a major key. So once that already has gotten slammed hard and lost a lot of their stuff, they're in improvised mode. Okay, now improvised mode, depending on who the commander is, how mentally resilient the commander is, and how versatile is, may make them actually much more deadly. Because, like I said, I was sitting there and we talked griffins. I'm like, how is my fat, gimpy self going to deal with a griffin in a medieval or Renaissance setting? And I'm like, flamethrowers at short range, now see, that's where you're going to see the auto crossbows. Auto crossbows may not be real popular up top because they're going to be a little cumbersome, but basically you do a double auto ballista and have something where it's essentially a ma deuce, laying fire, and then you start. Right, it's too. See, that's the problem. Black powder guns, flintlocks would not be good for airborne use. But I'm going to tell you, you start getting ranks of flintlock wielding soldiers. Fire, duck, prime load, fire, duck, and you get that cycle. Look up what happened between the British and the Zulu, okay? Because established lines of fire and enough ammunition. Yeah, ground use is fantastic and horrible for them, especially in the. It makes them a viable threat. A lot of it depends on how you want your Griffins to feel. Do you want them to feel like they're this the more plucky underdog kind of thing against a larger force, or do you want them to feel more superior? A lot of that's going to be how they're used and their numbers. You said they're the horses of this universe. That's a lot. Also, how smart are they? Because are you looking at Lipizonder? So basically dressage trained Griffins, or are they prime line? Are they going to be people going to be able to lay out poisoned meats and trick and trap them and poison them? Or you got to look in terms like this, because this is heavy world building. Early Chinese canon. Well, again, we're mostly Renaissance. That's I mean, we're creeping on piracy there, John. We've got some good things going by the time you get to the Medici's running things. Okay. Yes, John. Yes, that song has been on repeat through the week since a little over a week since she sent me this set of requests. Send in the Silver Griffins is the single greatest commercial ever written, and it's for a fictional mercenary group by the incredibly talented Michael Longcore, also known as Duke Sir Master Moodle Starkonson. And their wall was breached. Repair was partial. Now, see, that's a whole nother thing. You have to understand, I'm an old war gamer, and anybody who's seen Big Stompy Robots, the game I designed, knows I'm kind of into tactics. And you have options there. You really should lay out the maps and just sort of war game what you're doing. You don't necessarily need a lot of rules, but lay it out on a table and make it feasible so that when you describe the combat, you can go, does that make sense? There are a lot of systems you can use. Game design being one of my things. There are options to just set it up to sort of play out the scenario. God, makes me want to dig out my old Mage Knight. Anyhow, so yeah, you have to remember that the battle is going to be more three-dimensional than most battles, and it's going to be much more intense as soon as you bring it. Oh, I drew out and wrote a draft of it, Shadowbox, the 1-to-1 fights. Oh, cool. Cool. Well, yeah, absolutely. So you got the 1-to-1 fights down, and now size would be interesting for a Gryphon Rider in that they give a lot of. They're very relatively easy to tie down, relatively light and still guarded. That's interesting because size could easily be worn on the outside edges of the boots, and that would keep them out of the way. But I need to expand it, split it. I'm splitting it into two. It's too big, and the back half is this fracas. Okay. So what you're doing, it sounds like, is you're starting with a personal conflict, one-on-one, representing the one on money, escalating to the more warfare kind of mix between Normandy and the Alamo. Ooh. I don't know your writing well enough to know how much you favor happy endings and how much of it, there is something to be said for a doomed cause. Ah. Oh, stars. Okay, cool. Okay. Gotcha. Well, if that's the case, wow, is that great character development. I'm a big fan, and I've talked on this channel before, personally, of the concept of, from a tactical position, when you're talking about training somebody, I find people who've met a personal Waterloo moment are much easier to train than people who haven't. And it is very possible, depending on how your story's going, for this to represent a Waterloo moment that would really spur massive and, solidification, maybe devotion to training in a character, certainly, feelings of vengeance and motivation along those lines on either side. Because that's one thing. Always, always, always write like both sides see themselves as the hero. Okay? It is very rare, is it interesting to read about, I am the villain. No. Look at Castlevania. I made it through the first 2 seasons of Castlevania, and it is delightful. Netflix put it out. I heard there's a 3rd season. Retribution. Yes. The it ain't over till it's over. This kicks into the first law of ninja dynamics, in which a ninja's power is directly inverse to both the number of ninjas of its type present and the number of its clan. So a single ninja alone against non-ninjas is devastating by the laws of ninja dynamics. But if 500 ninjas are raining from the sky, they're pretty much useless. Now you get the last of his kind, blood-soaked. I'm accomplishing this goal and not coming back. I'm already dead. Bushido kind of crud going in either your hero or villain, protagonist, antagonist, however you want this to go. Wow, you have a lot of opportunity. Because remember, all fights are a dialogue when you're writing. Okay, the way a battle goes shouldn't be like, this blew up and that blew up and they died. No, you should have the feel of the overwhelming powers marched, and though their losses were many, they crushed the insurgents. You know what I mean? And it should, or Transformers, one man alone without its nation. The whole. I love the lone hero shtick. Because the older I get, the cheesier I find it most of the time. Will you stand alone against the might of Memnon's armies? I will. Kick some Godsmack in there. Always have a soundtrack, too. Always. Whenever you're writing any fight, the soundtrack should be in your mind. Because, like, Star Wars, the prequel trilogy fights, without the Duel of Fates, are just lackluster. I'm sorry. people, the Imperial March is not when things go wrong in Star Wars. The happy rebel theme is. Wow, John, we're just gonna keep going right back to it. Yep, archers stand alone on the bridge. Another song. Basically, we keep coming back. There is a soundtrack to the book Owl Flight. The book is by Mercedes Lackey. The soundtrack's mostly by Michael Encore. John is referencing it. Yeah, seriously, get on that. Even if you don't read the books, listen to that soundtrack. I will send you the links. I think a bunch of it's on YouTube if you dig around a little bit. And Silver Griffins hits you. Bear Clan will hit you depending on what kind of. I mean, if you have barbarians in anything, you need to listen to the song about the Bear Clan and that. Just. But I will say this. I was once asked, pick a song that you feel is most autobiographical of yourself. And I pulled on that, especially at the time, They Don't Know. They Don't Know was one of those songs that hit, especially at a period in my life where I was dealing with a lot of things, that a lot of people don't acknowledge and a lot of people don't even believe in. But yeah, because it's not. There has to be a character to any given force, and that's going to affect their tactics, their mentality. It overlaps. You've got. See, I don't know if your protagonists who have the wall falling in are going to come off as the rebels, or if they're going to come, the rebellion from Star Wars, or if they're going to come off as the browncoats from the Independents from Firefly. And how that goes will shape the survivors of that on both sides quite a bit. They're defending home. Okay, cool. That, when you're defending, and they're defending home, and that's their mentality, that can be scary, because that's where you're not going to have necessarily the military precision that's usually found in a conquering conquering force. Sorry, speech bad a bit. But you're going to find, that's where you can find innovation, and you're going to find cunning. Not good idea, John. I knew you were going to pull a song, but you pulled the wrong one. Not the Swordsman's Dance of Death. You should have pulled Snare and Deadfall. Snare and Deadfall, Pit and Noose is what would have been the right answer there, John. And again, look that up, because traps are underutilized and underappreciated as effective things in this world of, well, you should be fair, and it's illegal to have them in modern society. So booby traps, if they're defending their home, because I will tell you this, the first thought I had of okay, and the group defending the beach is much older than average, except, okay, one of my favorite movies of all time. All time, folks. Great movie. What? Snare and Deadfall is not for fleeing forces. It's for whittling down advancing forces. But, and I was responding to John. But, you want the older folks. This is great. Oh, bread and butter. One of my all-time favorite movies is this thing called The Postman, which I've been razzed about for years for liking that and Waterworld, but really liking The Postman. The irony of 2020 is just delicious. But after he's got the postal service running again, essentially, he's got all the riders, all these young guys. There's this old dude who comes out. And you've got all these young people, and he goes, why do you want to come? And he goes, can you ride? Nope. Can you shoot? Not. You can't see very far. Then what do you think you're going to do? And he rolls up his sleeve, and there's a tattoo of a woman. He says, you see this lady? I got her in a little town called Saigon. I know things. And that's where wonderful things happen. Because my first thought of the breach was, if it's only partially repaired anyway, that should scream trap opportunity. You make that into a feint. They're going to come through that breach. So you make them earn it a bit and right into things like pit traps and kill pockets, and you just rain heck upon them when they've stepped into your doorstep. And that's going to be that you have tactically. Ooh, I love it! I love it! Because I can already pull my way around and sort of spin the bits and pieces I have of this battle. But I know stuff. Yeah, I know stuff, and I can teach it. That's right. And he did too. Great movie. Great movie. And the idea of a madman trying to rule America with a business self-help book as a guide. Jeez. Anyway. But I think we've spent nearly an hour on this topic. Cindy, are you satisfied? Do you have more questions, commentary? Definitely have the attackers use boar spears, because you do not want to spear an angry griffin and have it come down the hole at you. Combat engineering for days. Cindy, you are of the appropriate generation where, if I go dun 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 dun, I personally love it when a plan comes together. Excellent, good. Now, I'm only caveating this one because I'm at roughly getting close to the hour break. I want to remind you guys, if you like what I'm doing, it looks, we got four viewers, 3 likes. I'm doing pretty good today. I can't really complain. But share this so people know what's going on right now, so they can hop on and ask questions, because I love helping people. I love helping authors write better fights, because if you write a better fight, I can see a better fight, and maybe when they put it up on the big screen as a movie, it won't suck. The world's worst marksman? The world's worst marksman. Okay. What does Mississippi... Okay, the world's worst marksman has to be Alan Bodillion Traherne from Rio Bravo, also known as Mississippi. But, followed closely by yours truly, because I'm about as nearsighted as the Swede. Paladin, where do you roam? Wow, you guys are really fishing in the. We're going in the Wayback Machine a bit, and I'm digging it. The a night without honor in a savage land. Wow. I haven't really thought about Paladin in quite some time. Jeez. Although I've always been more of a James Garner kind of fella. Support your local sheriff. He put his finger in your what? But somehow we went from Renaissance tacticians to Western humor. I love my groups. I also like most things Western. Things with levers and wheels. Yeah. Why do you care? You keep that carbine cocked? Only when I carry it. Why do you carry a long gun? Found that some were faster than me with a short one. But you're supposed to be I'm supposed to be a special forces operator. Okay. Okay, Steve. Am I or am I not the guy who penned a very specific patch that needs to be made involving, you know, my status as a civilian and what I'm opposed to? But although I do wear Hawaiian shirts. No. If I were an operator, I wouldn't like wheel guns and lever. Aren't okay? Thank you. Because I was gonna say I'm a lot of things. In my time, I've done a lot of things. I have punched ghosts. I have outran the wild hunt. I have stood alone and unarmed against the forces of the darkness. But I am not a special forces operator because humans are the scariest monster there is. That's why we dominate this freaking planet. They might get us singularly, but man, get us in numbers and we will. Let's be honest, humans are real world orcs. Remember, I hate the A team. There's something not quite right with you. You bet I outran the darkness, John. Your truck had the scratches on the roof and your son's still alive. Not sure if you owe me or not for that, but no, you can't. Oh, you can't hate the A team. You can't take it serious. Now I could see you having problem. Well, now I pretty much have. I am dropping my lifesaver. But, sorry. I let slip some stuff I don't normally talk about because it's getting close to my birthday, and as part of my tradition, I usually have a fire, and I bring out the old hoary ghost stories of yesteryear that are very rarely Monster Hunters International awesomeness and much more Doctor Who. Hey, you see that? Run. We should have been running. Why aren't we running? But no, I don't. Every once in a while you talk, John, I hear Godsmack. So I have to be smart enough to go, I will not be in a situation that should precipitate me having to run. And if I am, I'm in the car like, go faster, drive faster, you're not driving faster. Almost. Wait, let me think. Yeah, just every time I can think of, I've had to deal with something really, truly bizarre. It either came to me or I was helping somebody else out who was stupid. And I have since simplified my life by removing the vast majority of stupid people from it. But I run into the secondary Constantine clause where, well, the primary Constantine clause is if you could see it, it could see you. The secondary Constantine clause is there's a difference between knowing and believing. And it's really easy to know stuff and for some folks to forget to believe the other side of things. It gets neat. And maybe around Halloween or maybe next week, who knows? I may tell some stories. I may not. We shall see. But everything can be solved with a tactical mind and given enough time in a battlefield of my choosing, I can win any conflict. Now, my victory conditions are interesting sometimes, but yeah, And this is one of those things we got, because it does. I like mental exercises. I love things like Cindy's story because it forces mental flexibility. And if you are mentally rigid, you will snap when things go wrong. And how you snap will forever change you. Then you get somebody who's more flexible, and it's like, well, poop. You know, I've learned how to watch people. I'm very, very good at observing and deducing certain things, especially about capabilities. And one thing you do is you watch when something loud happens, how people react. And there are two scary, scary groups. You know, the people who are like, yeah, run away. Yeah, they don't. They are running away. The people whose instinct is to run towards it, that's where you find the realm of heroes. Heroes are the types who, there's an explosion, there's gunfire, there's screams of agony, there's unspeakable sounds and wrecks and things, and they run towards it. Most regular folk run away from it, and it's a natural thing. Then there's a really weird third group that are watch it happen and both decide to they stop and they consciously decide what they're doing, and a lot of times they look around everywhere but where everyone else is looking, because those are the ones who are looking for, you know, the next step. Oh, the firefighters, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs. There are good cops. There are dick cops right now, but there are good cops. Stand the ground and assess the situation. Yeah. Although I did get in trouble. Okay. I was the kid who we were getting our basic aid training, you know. That's where when they taught us to stop, drop, and roll and apply pressure to bleeding wounds and all that stuff, you know, the kid basic stuff. That's what I said. And they said, this happens, what do you do? And I said, establish a perimeter. Like, okay. You should say assess the situation. You do so by establishing a perimeter. This perimeter is safe. Everything else is fucked until I prove otherwise. Pardon my French. I'm emphatic. Okay. Oh yeah, watching Smug and Squirrely are probably responsible for it. Those are the anyone who takes pleasure in the suffering of others reflexively is dangerous in the bad way. And I just need to carefully be monitored. But how you address that situation is up to you. I won't say intervene. I won't say don't intervene. But that's the person you need to know about. But no, I am proud to say a large number of my friends, and those I still choose to associate with, are the type to, we'll say, do the right thing. Some are a little too eager to jump. Some are a little more or less eager to jump. And some of us are, I jumped, but it took me a while to get off the chair. So, you know, the guy in my mind is not really synced up with the body he's attached to. Yeah. But, okay. What else has been going on? I want to back off this topic just for a bit because it's going places it doesn't necessarily need to go. I have a question for the guild at large. Has anyone experienced with the combat sabers? What do you think of them? Jim has been bugging me to get one as a combat lightsabers, you know, as a way to practice but not get in trouble. Those who take amusement, those playing shoot up those red flags. Yes. Those who lack empathy are a bit feral. I'm not going to go full rabbit in my description, but they are feral, and that's dangerous. And it's funny. I have seen people hit their Waterloo and it break them of that. I have seen people hit their Waterloo and then it centers them forever in that, where it's not necessarily, it's perceived imbalance. They're scary. They're the ones who, let me put this, go through life, something bad happens to you. And I don't mean like I cut myself, I was late to work. I mean bad, loss of a loved one, major injury, death, dismemberment, financial collapse, bad stuff. But they once you've been through that, you have only two reactions. And I guess I'll go philosophical before I address John's commentary. And I did see it, John. You can either say, I never want somebody to suffer like I did, or you can say, everyone should because I did. And that difference in mentality is one of the core dividers that really matter in the world. Where somebody stands on that concept. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with some people can only take so much horror. And you know what? I grew up around people like that. I think the world is getting like that. You look at entertainment after World War II. It was all musicals. It was colorful. It was bright. People were dancing. They were happy. They were well fed. Not a lot of gritty horror because they saw enough of it. I've seen enough of that in my time. I don't like it. I am an empath. I am a softie. If somebody's embarrassed or hurting on TV, I usually don't watch it. I watch a lot of cartoons, and I'm okay with that. But I would never want people to go through what I do. Now, John said curved blades would be good training. Curved blades are very different than straight. And curved fighting sabers, the mechanics and the tide and flow, because the angles that it draws in are really neat. Straight sabers make more sense to me, obviously, because I'm a linear fighting guy. Remember, mixed sword is probably almost always going to be a Spanish Bilbao, or Bilbo. But you say Bilbo, which is the proper term, everybody goes, Lord of the Rings, short sword, oh, you mean sting. And while, yes, scale me a couple stings, or even one sting, and I could do some damage with it, the Bilbao is basically it's like a cavalry rapier. Like somebody took a rapier and just went, eh! I don't know, like a rapier and a machete made sweet, sweet love in the back of some Spanish officer's tent, and these things came out. Adore them! But they're actually really hard to find trainers of that style. And they're also even harder to find practical live steel sturdy versions. So I need to go hammer on like Lynn Thompson and a few other people's doors. Hey, I have money. Make these. I have a favorite Celtic leaf blade about 2 foot long. Yes, John. Absolutely. That's a nice dagger in your hands. Parry daggers are great. I love parry daggers. And like I said, parry dagger, double it. If cold steel would double the length of this blade, even if they didn't change the original, although, oh god, if they would give me that nice little guard, I would buy 10 of them. I am not kidding. I would take my money and like, give me 10. Why? That way 5 people can fight with them. It's my new Pignard. Oh. Okay. I will talk to you, John. I will talk to you, Steve, about some weapon acquisition. Actually, while we're talking, Poniard, that's what I figured you meant. Steve, don't let me forget to talk about something I want to have developed. I've for a long time had an idea, and as some of your business efforts get towards the long and pointy, I might want to work out something that we might even need to patent. I have an idea. But, yeah, Poniard, John, uh, send me a picture when you get a chance. Let me make sure I haven't gotten any pictures through here. And, guys, I want to thank you. I know we went off into the realm of fantasy quite a bit. Woo! Oh, thank you for the warning. When I talk about an addle, I am talking about a device that literally, I'm not being intended anything racial. And frankly, the device I'm talking about was used by my ancestors along with everybody else's, so it's not racial. And that is to viewers. If you have any questions about it, hit me up. But there's no issue. Thank you for the warning, though. I'm just a little contrary today. I need to get back home, and I forgot. I'm sorry, John. I forgot you were abroad in the wonderful wilds of Pennsylvania. Let's see, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's an interesting area. Pennsylvania's got some mojo. Oh, you got that old colonial vibe. That could be good. You can get some sweet Sleepy Hollow vibes. It's a little south for that, but it's still sweet in the right spots. Well, yeah, they're still in use in Australia. They're wonderful, practical, one of the first tools that allowed us to triple our throwing range. Wonderful device. Uh, so we want to, woo, get off that topic. Ooh, there are a couple YouTube channels I need to send you. One, if you haven't listened to Old Gods of Appalachia, you need to, and given where you are, you need to anyway. It's Lovecraftian, Appalachian, less humor, Night Vale, put a chill through you. Good stuff. And there's a book on a guy's doing a series. I can't remember what it's called, but he's done The Dark Side of the Holler. He runs theweeklyholler.com, and he does American folklore. I love American folklore and supernatural stuff because it actually is it runs parallel. I'm just going to keep dropping that. It runs parallel with European folklore, and I think it's really appropriate. I'm in the area of the 1694. Oh God, John. Oh, there's so much nice stuff. Because I'm going to tell you, even though I ran SCA all those years, I always found the period a little too early for my interests. I was much more close to the late 1700s to late 1800s. You get fur and trapper, you get buccaneer, you get good things that are outside of the scope of the period. Because that whole 500 to 1500 is right before the world gets really interesting, in my humble opinion. But then again, I'm also a big fan of the period of time between World War I and World War II. Just interesting, very, very strange, very dense historically periods of time. But yeah, we need to. Okay, news you can use. Those of you who are doing stuff with pole arms, I've shared some pictures on the Historical Fencing Guild public Facebook group, and I need to tweak that group. I need to open it up and do some like fancy moderation things. Yeah, French Indian time period, great fun. That, and I love that style of bushcraft because that's sort of peak bushcraft, and I'm a bushcraft guy. Basically the I think the 1500 line was pushed where I was a bit in a bid to slow the spread of fencers. I really do. That's my humble opinion, but that's kind of how it was. Now, the mid-realm is an interesting place, and our little patch of it was very interesting and kind of notorious. So, but yeah, there was, it depended on who you talked to a lot. So we got a lot going on there. I'm sorry, I got blasted out of my mind for just a second. I swear, just like this headache just hit. But yeah. Whoops. What was I talking about? Oh, I'm sorry. Anyhow, Purple Heart Armory has some really neat new polearm heads for Glaveman. And okay. There's some halberds, Dane axe head. I have some concerns on the sharpness of the Dane axe head, but I'm a huge proponent of Purple Heart Armory, and I'm going to tell you why. Basically, in this game, when you get into the medium to high-end trainer costs, you're going to see Black Fencer, Isle of South Coast Swords, and you can see Purple Heart Armory. These are the two that I see kind of at the peak of still developing new stuff. Now, I love the Rawlings synthetic sword. It's modular. It's a system. You get long, you get short. Great thing. But Purple Heart Armory is based in Texas. It is an American company. Black Fencer is a European company. This affects cost. This affects shipping. This affects availability. And frankly, I am very, very pro-buy American. Now, I have heard of some new companies. Beer City Blades is sorry, I just got a marble racing league contact because I do travel in interesting circles. But okay, the there are a lot of companies coming up with new synthetic trainers, and I'm going to try to keep track of them, and I'm going to try to keep up with them. I am still looking for that sword. My goal to this day is a short to medium sword, light enough to comfortably handle, that will reasonably take the attitude of a fencing saber, like a period saber, like a military saber, not a whippy saber, and still flow as a straight weapon. So again, something like this, but longer. That's sort of my holy grail. Preferably inexpensive, because what I want is to be able to say, hey, you're getting into this spot. If you buy this, and this, you have a full kit, very expensive, very high, high quality, low cost. next to no maintenance. And that's what I'm tracking down. So if you guys ever see retailers, they need a scimitar. Mid-Eastern, but great. Oh, well, nothing wrong with the scimitar. I actually found myself quite handy with the scimitar. They flow well, especially if you have any background in dance. As John can attest, John mentioned they need a scimitar. They're what is it? Wu John? Wuja, I believe. Let me check while I am doing this on my side screen here. There is a company called. Come on. Why is that glitching? Yeah, the company's called Why Is It Glitching? But okay. So give me just a second because I know I will. Blades USA is a company that puts out weapons, but there is a fairly new, and I'm having trouble finding it, supplier that's making some really interesting polypropylene weapons that are competing with Wujiao, Wuujau. Steve has sent me a couple weapons by them, and we've trained with them. They are making like a shamshir, which boy sounds my speech impediment do not get along well, but that's running. Let me see what the price tag running right now is. It might not even be available. Yeah, they're saying 31 plus shipping. There are other companies though, but there are some really neat, relatively low cost, nigh indestructible trainers. You are looking for something in the league of Captain Nemo's Curves Blade. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. No, I'm just saying that those are available for people who are interested. The saber I was originally talking about were actually combat lightsabers. Because in this climate, it's really easy to be misdiagnosed, okay? It's very easy to look like something you may not be, which I've had happen before. And the weapons that look too realistic can be problematic. Well, yes, John, I know you follow a different path, but no, I understand. Although, you know me and you know Dorian Gray is far closer to my fighting style. But with less getting shot and my shirt ruined. I'm trying to find, again, lighter, guarded weapons that will work, and the market is dodgy. That's in part why I helped design the Italian tactical side sword trainer through Purple Heart. But that's still at the 40 line, and I'd like to get something closer to the 20 to 30 because people can swing that. Okay, 25 is one of those magic numbers for trainers where people can usually swing it. Now, there are some synthetic foils and synthetic epes that are being put out by Leon Paul. Oh, thank you. That I'm interested in. I just haven't decided which model I want to acquire because I have to acquire two of them to train with them because they may not be, compatible with being hit with a cold steel tomahawk trainer. Which this is still one of my favorite trainers of all time and one of my favorite all around tools. I've considered getting myself a live steel one, but my budget is not quite in that realm right now. And yes, save the Hawaiian shirts. We should save all Hawaiian shirts. I love Hawaiian shirts, and I will not give them up. I am told that makes me, look like a dad. Well, I am a dad. I told listening to my music makes me look like a white guy. I'm a white guy, so I'm okay with all of this. God, I am in a mood. I'm gonna get myself in trouble. But I don't know if John Miner saw this. I made this for Mandy. The design should look really familiar. Oh, the grip tape slipped because, of course, I'm trying to show off. I have to redo that end bit of grip tape. But this is modeled after her thing. I think this is really close to the length of your leaf blade sword, and the grip's a little short. Which model? Oh, I don't know. I don't know, Steve. I'm still at axe shopping takes me longer because believe it or not, the axe and hatchet is one of the first family of weapons I ever traded, especially the splitting maul. I used to joke that I was going to make a walking stick with a splitting maul on the end and then have no problems because, that's a dwarven staff of solution. A great splitting maul. What douche? Do we have a problem? Didn't think so. But I'm still, yeah. Dot, 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 dot. However, your perfect blade live steel will need to be developed for you. That will be a task. That will be a task that will task me. Live steel. Yes, Cindy. Would my staff of solution be explaining things with extreme clarity? Absolutely. The staff of solution is what you have when the banhammer is too subtle. I'm out of drink. That's tragic. And blessed is the banhammer, long may it swing. But yeah, so there are some really neat new markets. A lot of people are basically doing what I suggested. They're taking HDPE and getting a laser cutter and just making whatever the bloody heck they want. So there were some really neat trainers in small companies. If you can find something like you like of that breed that's local, especially like the United States, really consider it because a lot of companies are hurting right now. And I would rather have the buck stay in America unless it's significantly cheap enough that I can buy it in bulk to train with my students when I get back to doing that, because that's part of the goal. It's like I'm still debating what kind of armor I want to evolve into after all these years of hodgepodgery. I've fought in everything from ballistic nylon, regular fencing jackets, plate carriers, airsoft plate carriers, motorcycle jackets, motorcycle body armor, chainmail. The problem is split upon the staff of solution. Abso-fraggin-lutely. Man, I'm just seeing like this almost looks like a dwarven version of Ronan the Accuser. You have a problem. Solved. You're fighting over things, I will cut it in half. Okay. Bam. But with less babies. Wow, I'm really... this is an interesting week. I'm trying to think what else. I have the military sabers I was going to show you guys, but they're way over there, and I don't care to scoot off camera. So I got questions since I have half hour roughly, and I have actually. What do you guys want to see me review? What do you want to see me discuss? Sorry, because my chair is broken and my angles are a little off. But yeah, I would like to know what you would like. Do you want more fantasy-based stuff? Is that what you guys are interested in right now? What will help amuse, entertain, educate that I can give you? because yes, let me caveat. Um, we're still in for another 100 degrees this week, so I don't know about some of the more active videos I want to do. But a basic cloak video is still floating in my caveat. I have another. No, it's explained extreme aggressive negotiation. Oh god. Some of you received a video from me entitled, let me see if I can find it, because I know, no, we're before that. Okay, if Les Grossman negotiated with Hans Gruber in Die Hard. I only sent it to some people I know because there's a lot of swearing, and it takes a certain type of humor. But that's what ran through my mind about extreme aggressive negotiation. Anyway, wow, I am just stuttering today. It's really annoying. See, that's what happens when I get sleep. I start stuttering. But, okay, there are more trainers that are going to be cranked out. I just have to do them. I'm thinking of doing a boar spear style trainer. I'm debating it. We'll see. At least for experimentation. I need to know what you guys want me to work with. I will say I'm planning the practical improvised weapons video, but that will require the right setting and a lot more forefront. So that's going to be up in the air. The new computer is up, so again, in the fairly near future, I will be testing to see if the Wi-Fi will let me live stream from there, at which point I can set up a crafting table, and when I make stuff, I can have a live stream going so you guys can see, for the people who want to see it, as it happens. It's just, folks, I know it's been hard. For those of us of a martial nature and who want to spar, who want to do this physical stuff, who want to, face-to-face associate and do stuff, this has been pretty killer. And I appreciate your patience. I miss you guys dearly. Which stick is that? Oh, okay, this is the one I was carving on. Cool. But we will get through it. We just gotta be smart and it's hard for those of us who are trying to do the intelligent thing when vast sources are saying, "Oh no, you don't have to." Yeah, I went to the bank today. I went to, I'm your Huckleberry. Our game isn't finished. Good, John. Good to know. Because I miss you guys. And I miss sparring and I miss stuff. I just have some issues to deal with. And we're going to get through it. But I do think I'm going to call it a little early this week. Honestly, I'm just a little tired and I'm a little stressed. I will have something up for you guys next Friday, even if it isn't a live stream, because that will be my birthday. And if I end up with plans doing something, I'm gonna have some fun. If I don't, I'm gonna hop on, and either way, I'll try to record something special to amuse and entertain you in this relative time slot. So if you like what I'm doing and you appreciate good humor, thank you. If you appreciate discussing martial arts without a lot of dogma, that's what I'm about. That's what the guild is about, and it's what the Simple Sword is about. Taking the fancy, excessive language, teaching concepts instead of hard techniques. I don't believe hard technique, this is the one way we do it, is the way to teach. I don't think it's effective, and I don't think it's adaptive enough for people's nerves. You teach a concept, they understand it, they can make many, many techniques out of it. And so consider, if you like it, buying my book if you haven't. If you have bought it, please leave a review because that's going to help Amazon. I am working on the sequel and several other projects because that's what I do. I do like 5 projects at the same time, and then they all get done at the same time, and I just put out a glut of coolness, and then it starts over because I positively procrastinate. So if I'm not doing this, I'm working on something. It feels like I'm procrastinating. It just bounces around. It's how my mind works. If you want to help me keep this video, keep putting this knowledge and stuff out, I mean, grab this video. This video may have been a bit wandering, but this channel going, consider becoming a patron. Even $1 a month is tremendous because it pulls together, and then I can afford to buy trainers and, knives to review. This review is coming. I just have to finish the editing, at least for part 1 of it. And, so consider that. If you like it, Square, I almost exclusively wear Hawaiian shirts at this point. It's part of my rebellion against the oncoming darkness. The world is serious and grumpy, and people are dying, and chaos is reigning. So I'm going to wear bright, freaking Hawaiian shirts as just this subtle, one finger salute to the abyss. Oh, by the way, Steve, if you're still here, I didn't highlight the Hello Karambit at all this episode, and I know you love it so very much. So I just wanted to remind you, it's always just off camera. Anyway, I needed that. If you like what I'm doing, consider being a patron. Always hit the like, share, subscribe, and zap, hard my comments because I love responding. Okay, I don't want to come here and be like, I'm going to give you a lecture now on what do I got handed here? This is a parry dagger. The most efficient way to use it is in your offhand and parry, parry, parry. I can, but I'd rather you guys ask me questions, make comments, and I can work on it. I can kind of feed off that to make more colorful. I need to epoxy that now. Yay! Vengeance will be mine. Glory to Zim. But yeah. And I'm not spazzing out. I'm quoting Steve, who commented there. All right. Well, folks, I'm gonna cut it because I'm just cooking, and I need to take care of some stuff. So I will put something up for you next week. It may be surprising. It may really be off topic. Fire your comments, questions here to the. Hey, John, I'm not standing up. You don't know what I'm wearing, but fire off your questions, comments. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves, folks. Next week will be a little more coherent. I got so caught up in the fighting Griffins thing, it sort of shorted my brain out for what I had planned. And that's cool. I'd rather do something like that. I'll talk to you later. Oh, yeah. And as always, folks, support your local sword master.